Now that I've got to introduce myself a little bit and show you a little bit about the class, let's take a look at how it's broken down and how these assignments should be conducted. So let's start by looking at our Rex Academy website. Once you enter the class, you can see that it's made up of different sections and blocks. Up here at the very top banner is where you can post announcements that you may have for your class. So let's go through how to conduct the class and especially how to coordinate the class through some of these activities and assignments. So let's start here with the pre-assessments. Now, this is not just a pre-assessment, there is a pre and post-assessment for all major lessons. And there's going to be about 3 of those in this class. Now, I've designed the class to where students don't have to take the pre and post assessment as of now, and that's so you can decide whether or not you want to do these with your students. Some schools might ask you to do this because they might be asking for something called formative and summative results. So those are there in case if your administration makes you do those. And you can actually set those to required instead of letting your students skip them. And you'll see how to do that in a later video. Now, if you do have your students do these, there are timers on them to make sure that students don't go over time. When having students do these assignments, I recommend that you just simply put on a timer for a little bit more time than what the quiz normally allows for. Give that much quiet time to your class, and then once it's complete, you guys can move on to the next section. It's a pretty simple way to just administer a quiz because it all is automatically graded. Then moving down, we've got a couple of different assignments that your students will need to do that are pretty much no work on your end. These are things like documents, which are links basically to PDF files that your students can save and download. These are things like articles, which are links to websites that your students can read to help them better inform their decision before posting in discussion boards. Files, which are just things that your students can click and it will automatically download to their computer. And links, where they can follow a link and it will take them to things like an art program online. Discussion boards will ask a prompt of your students and they will need to respond. Now, all you'll have to do is read through at the end and give them the appropriate grade if you are grading this course. And if not, you can just put them on the board and y'all can scroll through and talk about these posts. But I always recommend that after a discussion board, every single one, that you have an in-class discussion with your students where you let your students read off some of their answers and then everyone can kind of give their own opinion about why they do and don't agree with that. And just let an organic conversation happen from those discussion boards. The reason why we have students post in the discussion boards first is so that way they are kind of made into forming an opinion, and that way they can see if their opinion changes by the end of an in-class discussion. Now, it is on you as the teacher to conduct these in-class discussions and to make sure that students are staying on topic and help guide them if they are struggling to figure out what to talk about and helpful advice and things to talk about during this time. Next, we can look at a video. Now, these videos are super easy. All the students have to do is click on the assignment. It will take them to another page where they can watch through that video. Now, there are different things like optional assignments. Students don't have to do these, but these are assignments that will probably help them to better understand how a project's supposed to work and things like kind of the tools that are used in different programs. So if it has the word optional beside it, those are not required, but they are very helpful for your students. Next, submissions. Submissions are going to be where your students actually post their projects that they worked on. So all they'll have to do is go into this folder and they will upload their assignment. And you can project these up on the board for our next thing that we'll talk about, which is class critiques. What you'll do is you'll have your students stand at the front of the class with their artwork projected up at the front. If it's a video, you can have the students watch the video and then have the student come up. And then you'll have the student talk for about 1 to 2 minutes about their artwork. If this is in a collaborative assignment, then you can have the whole group come up and talk about their piece. And then you'll have the class give feedback and contribute to discussion about this art. Make sure students are using things like their art vocabulary during these discussions. Next, you will have things like Kahoot games. Now, these Kahoot quizzes are mostly for if you are choosing to have your students do the post-assessment quizzes. These Kahoot games go over information that will pop up on those quizzes, and it will just help them to better reinforce that information that they learned earlier. And then there's the post-assessment quizzes, which are the final wrap-up quizzes. And that's really the bulk of the class. Most of all the assignments that your students will be going through are going to be some type of variation of these types of assignments. So that's all you really need to know for this class. If you need to look back on this and refigure out how to conduct some of these class assignments, then feel free to come back to this video and rewatch it. With that, I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys to it. You will go on to your next video titled A Guide to Your Teacher's Guide, and I'll see you over there. Goodbye.